Some years ago, Donald Trump said he could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue, shoot someone, and he wouldn't lose any support. What a lot of people don't realize is Donald Trump made good on that promise. Donald Trump did commit a murder. Donald Trump killed conservatism. Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. I came up with this topic because a lot of people are in their feelings about the Cardi B Candace debate, and specifically the fact that they're claiming, like Candace Owens is saying, that conservative values are dying, are being taken away, are being diminished, are being overshadowed, and it's the left's fault, it's the media's fault, it's Hollywood's fault, it's Cardi B's fault. But I want to take a look at what they're talking about. So if we're talking about socially conservative values, because that's why they're criticizing Cardi. They're criticizing Cardi because she dances on stage very provocatively, simulating sex acts with another woman on stage, and they're like, well, what about the children? So I get it. If you're a conservative, if you're a Christian, I was raised Christian, and that sort of thing wouldn't be something my parents would allow on TV in our house. No, like if they see that on, turn from this garbage. No, absolutely not. You're not watching this. And they didn't even need to say that, because we knew. We were told what was, appropriate and what wasn't appropriate, and there's certain things we knew we could not watch and we should not watch. When you look at the stuff on TV today, you look at the stuff in the mainstream media, you look at the stuff being just, there's a lot of very sexualized content, a lot of extremely violent content, and it's not just violent and, in themes and topics. There's graphic violence, there's graphic, they're getting graphically, sexual situations. And hey, I mean, because I remember the time when network TV wouldn't show nudity, and then you had something like NYPD Blue, which was, boom, it was like a big deal that a network television show had nudity. But it's interesting that as I remember that, it's like, okay, can we really blame Cardi B? Can you really blame? Because I'm not blaming Cardi B. In fact, I'm not even though I was raised that way, there's something I look at in today's world. We can pretend, and I'm going to say pretend because more than 95% of people are pretending when they claim that, oh, this is disgusting, and oh, more than 95% of people are pretending to not, to feel some type of way about sex. And to be opposed to it, because there are so many people who claim to be conservative Christian, and they may even be in monogamous relationships, but they're living together unmarried. Like, do you realize that that's already an erosion of values? That's not scriptural. Do you understand that? And then you have people who will claim to be living, who will preach about certain values, and then stuff will come out. You have individuals who will come out the closet later on. They were preaching about how homosexuality was a sin. They come out the closet. Boom. Wait, what happened? Pastors, priests. Do you have people who, you've got, heads of churches who are engaged in just promiscuous sex with various members of their churches. But like, so if you're still claiming that these are your values, the question is, are you keeping it consistent? So when other people are doing these things, do you keep that same energy that you have for Cardi B to those individuals? If your pastor is doing this type of stuff, do you keep that same energy, that same mentality? Do you maintain those same principles according to them? Okay. Maybe you do. Maybe your church, maybe your religion even has, some kind of way it deals with individuals who engage in sin. The question for you is, how do you feel about Donald Trump? If you claim to care about family, because people, this is a question that people on the left were asking people on the right over the past 4 years. And people on the right were saying things like, oh, I voted for a president, not a pastor. Okay, but you can keep that same energy with Cardi B now, because Cardi B isn't selling gospel music. She's selling rap, hip hop, and very sexually suggestive pop. That's what she's selling. She's not selling gospel music. So keep that same energy that you had towards Trump. Oh, he's not supposed to be a priest. He's not a priest. He's not a religious leader. Cardi B is not a religious leader. But it's not just the energy. It's the claim that her behavior is the downfall of society. But Cardi B is, I don't even know how old she is. But she's got to be, what, no more than her 30s. So if you take a look at her, you can't blame her for the descent of, or the loss of morals in society over the past 50 years. And she just came to public, like, she's more reacting to what's already happened. And to put the blame on her when you were celebrating, and y'all weren't just celebrating Donald Trump. You were deifying Donald Trump. And there's people who will say, oh, I didn't worship Donald Trump. But listen, people were just every minute, every chance they got, oh, he's the greatest, oh, Donald Trump. And he loved it. He wanted people to adore him, to revere him. And that in itself is something that Christians should have been like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You getting too dependent and too thinking yourself worthy of praise. But I didn't see a whole lot of that. I saw a whole lot of excuses being made. A whole lot of, oh, well, it's the jobs are good. But no, we're talking about values. So now, if you're saying that you were willing to sacrifice your values, your principles, your beliefs, your conservative outlook, and the conservative bent of this country, in order to win, in order to have your candidate in the White House, in order to support somebody you liked who spoke to middle America, if you were willing to sacrifice your principles for victory, if you're willing to sell your principles for victory, don't try to pretend you still have your principles. You sold them. You sold your principles. And you sold them because Donald Trump was bringing wins. Hey, that's a choice. That's a choice as adults we get to make. We get to choose whether or not we're going to support somebody, and whether or not we're going to stay true to our principles, whether or not it has an immediate and earthly benefit for us. So, like I said, I was raised as a Christian, and the way I was raised, that the earthly rewards aren't as important as spiritual rewards. But if you chose the earthly rewards, if you chose this type of incentive, this type of, as one commentator puts it, the tingle up your leg, and you were willing to sell your principles out to support this guy, okay, don't look at Cardi B. Look in the mirror. Don't blame Cardi B. Cardi B was not president of the United States. So Cardi B made a song called Wet Ass Pussy. The president of the United States, your boy, Donald Trump, said he grabbed him by the pussy. Y'all didn't find a problem with that. So if you want to look at the loss of values, the descent of American culture, look in the mirror, look at your own actions and who you chose to support, who you were willing to elevate, who you were willing to praise, despite a public track record of the kind of behavior that you are now claiming you're opposed to. If you're only opposed to it if it's a Democrat. Because like, let's take somebody like Candace Owens. Because Candace Owens is claiming, Cardi B is horrible, blah, blah. But Candace Owens admitted in a tweet, oh yeah, I was watching her since Love and Hip Hop. And, oh, she has a bend towards freedom. She's going to be a future, thought leader. So Candace Owens was willing to look past that when she thought that Cardi B could be an ally. When she thought that Cardi B could be somebody she could get close to and that could elevate her status. She's willing to look past it. She wasn't worried about principles then. She did the same thing with Trump. She continues to do the same thing with Trump. So stop it. Stop trying to pretend that you're holier than thou. Because the fact is, if you actually care about principles, then you may get mad at me initially. And I get it, because that's the human thing. The human thing is to get upset when you're criticized, when you hear something that makes you uncomfortable. But if you are sincere, if you are sincerely a believer in certain values, certain principles, you believe that people should be moral, you think that, that people are too loose, sexually loose today. If you truly believe that, then you need to acknowledge, you need to stop, take a look, say, you know what? I do have to take a look at myself and examine what I was willing to accept. And if you are willing to do that, you'll stop and say, okay, the same way I messed up by supporting Trump, by turning a blind eye to his serial adultery, his bragging about fornicating for years, paying off an adult film performer for sex, paying her to keep quiet because he had sex and then he paid her to keep quiet. So it's like it's not just the act, it's the cover up. And he was cheating on his wife, like, again, but this is what he does. This is what he's been doing. And he bragged about it. He bragged about it. So it wasn't just a matter of him quietly holding values opposite to yours. It was him promoting values opposite to yours. And if you're willing to stop, take a look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I should never accept that. Then maybe you have the moral position to talk to others, not condemn others, not be so judgmental, because you yourself have to realize that if you fell short, then you're going to have to change your approach to others in terms of, hey, listen, this isn't the best way of living. I don't think that this is beneficial for an individual's self-worth, family structure, and whatever your beliefs are, whether it's a relationship with God. If these are the things that you feel, you need to live by them. So when I was raised, that was one of the things that would, because everybody knew I was religious. So if people saw me acting outside of my principles, I got called on it immediately. And I couldn't go to somebody and preach about the Bible knowing, especially if they're knowing that I'm not doing it, I'm not living it. But there's a lot of people out here who are putting their morality on, their spirituality, their principles on like their Sunday best, and taking them off just as easy. So I just say this because if you take a look at Donald Trump, this is the man who talked about 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians. Now, come on, stop it. You can't even pretend to believe that this man had ever picked up a Bible before when he stood there and said 2 Corinthians. The man that accepted somebody else talking about he was like the second coming of God. What? Like, when that happened, I was like, I fully expected the religious right to just flip. Not just religion. I expected every religious person, every person that's Christian, to just say, what? Like, that's just, but it was silence. It was crickets. So if you truly believe, and I talk to somebody like Tucker Carlson, he's in it for, he has an agenda. And I think that agenda is circulating around 2024. So I'm not even, going to deal with him. But there's a lot of people out there who may actually believe and may actually may actually feel that these values are correct. But if you do, then you got to live by them, and you can't just live by them when it's convenient. You can't just live by them and judge people who who don't abide by these values when you don't like them. And then when somebody you do like, or somebody who is who you can provide you some kind of benefit, then all of a sudden you don't see values. Oh, values don't matter now. Oh, stop. It's just you're the reason why there's a descent in values. Not Cardi B, not even Donald Trump. Donald Trump is just one person. It's all the other people that choose to ignore their values in order to gain something for themselves. And I believe that if that's how you feel, okay, live it. But if you're not going to live it, if you're not even going to keep your principles consistent and apply them consistently to the people you deal with, well, number one, you're not living the principles, so you can't even look at any further than that. And number two, why would you expect anybody else to? Why would you expect somebody who doesn't believe what you believe to start believing what you believe when you are demonstrating that you don't believe what you claim to believe? So yeah, Donald Trump, his behavior, things he said, things he did, things he was accused of, the willingness to turn a blind eye to that. If you think conservatism is dead, if you think conservative values are gone, start looking there. Thanks for checking out this episode. As always, give me a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. And some of you won't like what I've said. A lot of you won't like what I said. If you feel so motivated, give me a thumbs down. But if you give me a thumbs down, I ask you one thing. Comment. Don't just give me a thumbs down and don't say anything. Give me a thumbs down and tell me why. Because I want to engage. I just on another video I did, somebody was claiming that I'm deleting comments. I don't delete comments. I welcome comments. If you have something to say, you call me names. I may call you names back. But if you want to have an actual discussion, if there's points that you think I'm missing, I'm wrong about, write it. And I can either respond in the comments or in a future video, but write it so that, hey, maybe I can learn something. Maybe I did miss something. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.